Hello, this is Anthony Giarrusso. 1/7 2021. And I remembered my dream. Or should I say dreams, plural? So I've had like 3 dreams. And I woke up in between each one of these dreams. The last 2 dreams were literally like the same dream, just a continuation, but I'm gonna get into that in a moment. So the first dream, I was climbing some stairs. The stairs were like granite, like polished granite, very nice. And there were 2 wooden railings on each side. And I was going up the stairs, and when I looked past, like, there's like this area where if you look up, there'd be like a little bit of a wall going vertically and then a cut open area. And this cut open area had pews like you would see in a church, but they were raised up almost like a stadium. But the pews in my dream were all wooden, just like you'd see in a church. And these raised pews that reminded me of what a stadium kind of would look like had these dolls in them. And the dolls were looking down at me as I climbed these stairs. Some of these dolls were really beautiful and looked like those dolls from Japan that are anime style. And some of them, these dolls, these lifeless entities, were really ugly and looked like dolls from who knows how long ago. And they had this very roughness to them. They looked really gruff and had these, like the skin was made out of like potato sacks. You know, that really rough resin rag. That's how ugly some of these dolls looked like. But there were these really beautiful dolls and these really ugly dolls, and they were all together, and they were all humanoid, looking down at me as I climbed these stairs. Now, I'm near the top of these stairs, and I open up the door, and I'm outside, and it's a beautiful, wonderful, charming day with sun in the sky and clouds in the sky, and they were white and they looked really nice and fluffy. But the building that I came out of, the walls on the outside were like this gray and brown cobblestone. It almost looked like it had like black mold on it. And this tower just soared through the sky, and it was like one of those cathedral towers. That Victorian, very pointy, almost like a rocket ship, pointy, that you kind of see on one of those really old Victorian churches. And then all of a sudden I was beamed into light into a random room somewhere that had this yellowy colored wooden floor, white walls, and a white ceiling. I took about 3 or 4 steps forward, and then I was beamed again into this light. And this is really odd, what happened next. It was literally like I was beamed into a Pokemon game, like Pokemon Yellow, Blue, Red, Crystal, Gold, Silver, that type of pixelation. In the ground, all around me was this pixelated grass. But it wasn't 2D, it was literally almost like 3D, but it was like I'm on this platform of some sort, this ground, and it's this pixelated grass that reminded me exactly of the Pokemon game. Now, I want to tell you something that's very important. Even though I was in this pixelated world, my body was still flesh and blood like it is today as I'm telling you this story. I was the only thing that did not belong. And I ended up meeting some other characters. I remember one particular character who I thought was absolutely cute and adorable. She was a pixelated, just as the really rough-looking pixelation in those older Pokemon games. I thought she was kind of cute looking. I've never seen a character that actually looks like this in any of the Pokemon games, but she was pixelated like that, and she had hair that went down literally to her ankles, had like this black hair, but it was kind of odd because the pixelation was a mixture of like black, white, and almost like this reddish orange red. But for some reason, I just thought she was really cute and adorable. But when I spoke, I was speaking as if I was speaking to you. However, when this pixelated girl would speak to me, it would come up as a text box, just like in a Pokemon game. And every time I spoke to another character, it would show up a text box. But it would not show up a text box for me. I can't remember any of the text of what she said to me at this time, unfortunately. Or one of the other characters that I met. But there were those text boxes, I do remember that. And there were all these Pokemon from the older Pokemon games in their original pixelation. And the only entity that did not look like a regular like Pokemon type character was this lady, this kind of cuter looking character, and of course me, who was still flesh and blood. Okay, and then I get beamed into a thing of light again, white light, and I'm at an art museum. And I'm exploring this art museum. It's one floor, very beautiful. It had all of these wonderful paintings and sculptures. And it's just absolutely incredible. And I'd have to say that I've been to a lot of art galleries in real life and a lot of art museums in real life. Not just here in the USA, but in other countries as well. But the one in my dream was far superior to any place I've ever been in real life. I remember a lot of the paintings that I saw had blue and green on them. I can't remember exactly what I was looking at. But there were a lot of sculptures too, and a lot of them were like shiny metal chrome. Or they were like a dark brownish bronze color. And there were a lot of different shapes, and even shapes that I can't even figure out what they are, because they're like their own shape. Shapes that are not of normal trigonometry. Like, some of these shapes are so advanced that I can't even explain the shapes of them. Okay. college level trigonometry could not explain some of these shapes that I saw. If that makes any sense to you. That's how advanced they were. Very unusual. And then I was beamed in another thing of white light. I don't know what it is with being beamed with white light. That's a common theme in this stream. And I'm back in this Pokemon game world for a second time. I'm still flesh and blood. And I end up walking around. There's like a cave-like area. And there's all these pixelated people and pixelated Pokemon everywhere. And I find that really attractive character again, and I'm actually following her. And I follow her for about, I don't know, like 3 minutes, and we kind of zigzag around near the front of the cave. We don't go into the cave, but we go around it, and there's all of this like Pokemon like pixelation everywhere. It's very unusual. And then I'm beamed by white light again back to the art museum that I was at before, and I meet this really ugly, white-skinned, red-haired, overweight lady wearing black high heels and this dress that was so ugly and out of date that my grandmother would call it out of style. Like, that's how out of style this lady was. Okay, very memorable. Her hair was short, really ugly. I like wavy hair. I didn't like the look of this lady at all. To me, ugly, ugly, ugly. Okay? I think you get the picture. So, I had to follow this ugly lady to an area of the museum, and she was explaining to me all different art. And the only thing that was good about this lady is she knew her stuff about the art. So I think she was like a curator or maybe a docent. And she was telling me all this history and all these amazing fun facts about the paintings and the other artworks, the sculptures and stuff. So I did have respect for her there in that department. She was just a fashion disaster. Then, this red-haired lady introduced me to this blonde-haired lady who was, I'd probably guess, in her mid-30s to, in her 40s. A much better, more attractive-looking blonde-haired female with skinnier body. Can't remember what kind of clothes she was wearing, but she was wearing clothes. I follow this fashion disaster down a secret hallway. That's right, a secret hallway. You wouldn't even know that was even there. And we went through the secret hallway. There were little rooms. I was peeking in the rooms. Some just looked like office space, and some were like empty and stuff. And then we get into this big area. This was super impressive. There were sculptures and paintings and storage, but some of them looked like they were on display, and it was just absolutely incredible. Okay, there was literally almost like it seemed like the building had to have been a mile in each direction. Like, that's how big this area was. It was one floor, but it was just filled with amazing art pieces that were just not on display to the public. And then I was introduced to some guy. And this guy had these really, really thick, fat arms. But I wasn't really sure if it was just over muscular arms or fat or mixed. But imagine Popeye. Popeye the Sailor Man. His really strange looking fat arms. It was like that, but it was like skin with hair coming out of it, like a real person, but with really strange not so human arms, like Popeye the Sailor. And he had this strange haircut and a strange beard, and his face was a little strange and kind of squished together. But it was just a very unusual face. It wasn't disfigured or anything. His face was not disfigured. It was just like squished together. It's just very unusual. It was very equilateral. His face is very equilateral, so not disfigured, but very like a crunched face. It's just kind of hard to explain. Anyway, so this guy and I have to go find cups for some reason. I don't know why. So we walk back down the hallway, the secret hallway that all came down originally with the ugly lady. And then we open the door, we cross the main hallway of the art museum. There's a door there, okay? And right next to the door were some wooden cabinets. And we open up the wooden cabinets looking for these cups, and we can't find any cups. We're looking for the styrofoam cups, we're looking for the plastic cups. It doesn't really matter, we just needed to find cups, okay? And we couldn't find any. So we open up this door, and there's that blonde-haired lady that I was introduced to before. And for some reason, I felt like she was a guide to me through that part of the dream, or possibly the whole dream, and I don't know why. But when we opened the door, I opened the door, and the guy was behind me, or near the side of me, I can't remember exactly where. And this blonde-haired lady, she's got one of those paint rollers, like she's painting the side of a wall. Now, I'm still standing on gray marble, but she's standing on this cut-in area where it's just gray concrete. And on both sides there were shelves similar to what you'd see like in a CVS or a Walgreens or a Walmart, or shelves. But they were red, painted bright red on both sides. And they were filled with stuff. I don't know what it was. So she's and it looked like a whole hallway. And then out in the distance, I could see another man with like brown hair. Can't remember what he was wearing, but he was wearing some kind of long pants or something. Can't really remember the color. And he was just doing his thing, but he was like about 300 feet down this hallway of concrete with the shells on each side. But he was kind of blurred out. Like it was too blurry and too hard to see from where I was. But you could tell that he was there. And I asked this blonde-haired lady that I'd met before, when I was introduced by that ugly red-haired lady with the wavy hair, where can we find cups? And she told us exactly where we could find them in a certain room. And we went to this certain room, me and this guy, not the lady. And the room is pretty much empty. And all of a sudden, somehow, Emily S. shows up. When she showed up in my dream, she was really happy to see me, and I was really happy to see her. Now, I want to explain something. This is an interjection. I have not seen Emily S. in about 20 years. I haven't seen her since elementary school. At least that's the last time I remember seeing her ever in my life. I don't know a lot of Emilys, but she's the only Emily with the last name that starts with an S that I know. But what's so interesting is that in the dream, she was not a child. she was 26 years old, just like I am. So she was all grown up in the dream. But I recognized that it was her, and she recognized that it was me. That's really key. And then what happened is this guy with his really fat arms, or whatever, over muscular arms, and Emily, they both phase out just like a ghost would. Where they, like, dematerialize. And both of them dematerialize in front of me. I see both of them dematerialize at the same time. And all of a sudden, this voice, it's almost like I'm thinking telepathic thoughts, but this voice is talking to me, and I'm hearing it from both of my ears. I thought about the ugly lady with the terrible fashion sense, and also the blonde-haired lady who I thought might be a guardian, and I said, or I thought, using telepathy, these two people were curators, and this voice said, wrong. And then I forget what I said or thought next, but then the voice said to me again, wrong. And then I ordered the voice to say something else other than wrong. I don't think I asked it. I believe that I ordered it to say something else other than wrong. And it said, welcome. And then I either thought or said something to it, to this voice, out loud. And then it replied to me, be careful what you say. And immediately, I woke up. Then the second dream happened when I went back to bed. Now, I'd been up for maybe about 5 hours before I went back to sleep. And I was really exhausted. In the second dream, it was literally like I was playing a game. Like a PS2 game. I had PS2 graphics. Not particularly really good, up-to-date graphics, but the graphics weren't crappy like a PlayStation 1 or any game that was older than that, or the ugly graphics or pixelation of a older handheld Nintendo Game Boy type game. No, this game in my dream that I was playing definitely, I would say, had PS2 level graphics. PlayStation 2 level graphics. And this game, I don't know what the title was, but you could pick all these different people that were vice presidents to be your vice president. Now, what's so fascinating is in this dream, you could pick a vice president that already existed as a vice president anywhere throughout time up until modern day. Okay? All the way up through Mike Pence. Now, the other thing is you could pick vice presidents from foreign countries. China, Venezuela, all across Europe and Africa, any place that had the eligibility for a vice president to exist, alongside with the president, those vice presidents were in this video game with the PS2 graphics. Okay. And I was playing this game and I picked all different vice presidents and I kept restarting the game, seeing how different vice presidents would do. And then I woke up and I went to the restroom. And I was up for a little while, maybe about like 8 minutes, and then I went back to bed. And this is the second time in my life where I was able to wake up from a dream, be up for a little while, and then go back and have a continuation of that same dream. And I kept dreaming about me picking a different vice president. And Mike Pence was a choice. I can't really explain how I felt about that. Again, it didn't really make much sense because everything was literally in PlayStation 2 graphics, not like PlayStation 4 graphics. But it was just so odd. You know, my dream with this PlayStation 2 graphics, and I could choose the vice president. And the only types of people that were in that dream were previous vice presidents. There were no other like candidates or choices. It was just only people who were previous vice presidents of some administration of some country here on planet Earth in PS2 graphic form in some kind of video game world. It was just really odd. But the duration of me playing this game in both dreams, the second dream and the third dream, felt like I was playing for hours. Maybe like 4 hours in each, or 3 hours in each. Pretty close to that. And I just don't know why. But when you start having dreams of PS2 graphics, of picking vice presidents from your own country and different countries as well that were past vice presidents, you know something's going on in the dream world that doesn't make any sense. Alright, again, I'm Anthony Giarrusso, 1/7/2021. Have a wonderful day. Goodbye.